A very good morning to everyone. I hope you're all staying nice and safe, taking care and being careful. Yesterday, guys, I uploaded some content onto my channel about prison stories, category A stories, and at the end of it, I realised that I didn't really finish that story off. So I'm going to go back onto what I was touching on yesterday and finish that story off about Cat A jails. So when I went into Belmarsh in 1999, I was only 28 years of age, and I was looking at a double figure sentence. My first solicitor said that I was going to get a life sentence. I had him for a few months, and I sacked him because I wasn't prepared to accept a life sentence, especially go guilty on 3 armed robberies, and get a life sentence. It had been like a 8 or 9 year tariff, and I'd have ended up doing about 15 years out of it. So I sacked that first solicitor. The second solicitor come in, and he said to me that the judge will be prepared to give you a straight sentence, not a life sentence, but a straight sentence if you have a plea bargain with him, which is the case in many big high profile cases. Basically, you have a plea bargain with the judge, and you get convicted of the higher charge off your indictment. So, for instance, we got convicted of 3 armed robberies, and we got the first charge was read out, and the first charge I was given the 12-year sentence. So the other 2 robberies, what I got charged with, I got 10 years for one, and I got probably 10 years for the other one. It mounted right up, but those run concurrent along with my 12-year sentence. So it was 12 years that I received. And that's when I jumped in the dock before he was just about to pass sentence to me, because I thought, oh well, this is my last chance at freedom, and I'm gonna do a massive sentence anyway, a double figure sentence. So why not have a chance of escaping? And that's what I've done. I think I was the only one in the last 25 or 30 years to ever escape successfully from a Crown Court as a Category A prisoner. I paid the price for it, and I'm not saying it's glamorous, and I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, but I'll go down in history for that, for jumping the docket in the London Crown Court. That puts a smile on my face. At least I've got at least now I'm home all these years later. I did do that big massive amount of bird, but now I'm here smiling, laughing my head off, thinking, well, I've done that bird, and I actually escaped from your court. And you've got to live with that. You jailers and whoever looks after that court, they've got to live with the fact that I've jumped their dock. So that's one up on them. Do you know what I mean, guys? But yeah, I did get out. I got hit by a taxi, and I got taken back to court on another date for escape. So I actually got charged with escape. And there's only one court in the land what can deal with escape charges, and that's the Old Bailey. So I got sent to the Old Bailey probably about 6 weeks after the escape, when I jumped the dock, and I got sentenced at the Old Bailey. So yeah, it rounded up to 13 years. I got 12 months consecutive for escape, and I got 12 years for the armed robbery. So I got 13 years, which is on paper, written down on my previous convictions, which I've got like with me at the minute. I've always got my bits and pieces and keep everything up to date. I've recently had a big massive DBS check done too, because I'm a reformed person now, and I'm just telling you about my previous experiences of prison and things like that. But I'm not like that at all today. I'm helping people with similar problems what I had. I'm helping people with drug addictions. I'm going to be looking at going into schools, young offenders, and places like that to help the young offenders and help people what have fallen off the wagon. I'm a peer mentor. I'm working for a firm over in Worthing, and I'm working for them voluntary at the minute, so nothing is paid at all. It's a 2-year course, and I've finished the induction pack, and I've completed the exam and all the relevant paperwork to become a peer mentor. So I'm mentoring people with drugs and alcohol addictions at the minute, and I'm very happy to do that. I can't really talk too much about that because it's strictly confidentiality, but what I can say is I'm mentoring 3 other people with 3 separate addictions altogether, and 2 of them are flat out, completely and flat out. So like feeding their addiction and still going out to fund their addiction by thieving. But yeah, every day, one day, you know, I say to everyone, when you're getting clean and when you're in recovery, you've got to take one day at a time. And, you know, give yourself some credit for staying clean for that day, guys, yeah? Because, you know, having an addiction is not easy, and you've got to do a lot of work on yourself to be able to say no to it and to be able to walk away from it. It took me many, many, many years. This didn't happen overnight, believe me. You know, it probably took me a good part of 10 years to be able to say no to it and to build the tools to stop me, prevent me from relapsing and things like that. And, you know, I'm using my bad experiences now to help others out, and I'm really glad I'm doing that too, because, you know, it inspires me to know that I'm helping other people out. But I've checked my phone again this morning. My subscribers are going up every day. I'm getting a few every day, which is absolutely awesome. I've been monetized, so I've just got to wait for YouTube to do their bit, and I should think that'll probably be in about January. But I understand you've got to get so many hours of viewing time before you start getting paid. I've got the subscribers now, but yeah, I need the views to go up, and I need you guys to please share my channel just to, you know, get me over that final mark, guys. But thanks to all my new subscribers and to my old ones, man, and you guys mean so much to me. You know, you guys know even when you comment underneath my videos, I always answer my comments, because as far as I'm concerned, if you can take the time out of your life to actually follow my story and give me and comment underneath my videos, then, you know, that's very humbling to me, and I will take my time to comment on your videos and have a chat with you guys. So thank you very much indeed, and keep them comments coming in. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up and share my channel too, guys. But yeah, I want to have a little chat with you today about Belmarsh Prison as a Category A prisoner and an escapee. So I was an E-man in a yellow and green jumpsuit, and I was also a Category A. The reason why I was Category A was the nature of the offences, and obviously outside help. So there was quite a few of us in our firm, and the flying squad obviously thought that there could be a chance of us getting like, you know, whatever you call it, out the van on the way to court or anything like that, swagged out the van. Because as we know, look, quite a few Category A prisoners along the way, not so many have been on the paper or on the newspapers, but quite a few of them have actually got out them vans from contacts outside. So, you know, they kept it very, very tight, the flying squad, because they knew that my gang and myself, we was pretty ruthless and barbaric, absolutely barbaric. So they was always not scared, but they always had that thought in their head, look, you know, if we got a chance to escape, then we would. So they kept this under very, very, very tight security under Category A conditions. First of all, we went into hide down the first 2 days when we got arrested for the robberies. But hide down had lost our Category A conditions, so we got kept down in segregation unit, and on the next bus out to Belmarsh. So we was on House Block 4 in Belmarsh as Category A prisoners. But yeah, Category A prisoner, I mean, it's got good benefits and it's got bad benefits. The good benefits are you get to places a lot quicker. You get a lot more respect from other inmates, to be honest with you, because they know that you've got the potential of, you know, doing things. They know that you've actually been arrested for some serious cases to be a Category A prisoner, and most of House Block 4 in Belmarsh was Category A anyway, so we was all together in there. But when I was on in Belmarsh, because I was in there for 12 or 13 months on remand, there's quite a few old chaps in there. Charlie Kray'S was in there, and he just got 12 years for conspiracy to supply Class A. Apparently they found a DNA or a bit of fingerprint on a parcel of cocaine, which was never ever produced at court, the cocaine. I'm sure that the cocaine went missing, but yeah, they give poor Charlie a death sentence. They give him 12 years, and I got on really well with Charlie because I was an E-man and I was only 28. I was like the player on the wing. So if anything went down, it was always me. Do you know what I mean? Because that was the type of person that's the mindset I had at that time. I was a bit of a joker, and I didn't mess about. If there was any bacons coming onto a wing or anything like that, it was always me what was going to be the first one to serve them up. So Charlie see this in me. He liked me. He thought I was funny because he knew I was mad as a nutter and I was game, probably a bit too game. But I'm glad I was at that time, because being game like that is what got me through that sentence. I mean, not many people could receive 13 years and and come out on that 13-year sentence and turn their life around and reform themselves and become a peer mentor. What I've done today, you've got to be that takes a special type of person to do that, and you've got to have a very strong mindset, and you've got to be physically and mentally strong to do that. So I'm really glad that I got through that sentence with flying colours, and I'm glad that I played up at the beginning of it, because it's that what got me through the sentence, playing up. Towards the end of it, I did toe the line a little bit towards the end of it and knuckle down, but at the start of it, I was hard work, let me tell you. Ray's was in there with us, an old Razor Smith too. He's a very good friend of mine. He used to drink in the St Ilia's Arms. He's an old rockabilly. So I've no Razor. He was in there too. He just got his his L plates for a few armed robberies. Charlie Kray. So Charlie Kray was on the cleaners. He was a wing cleaner, and basically you left out your cell quite a lot of hours during the daytime while the other inmates are locked up. So it's the best job in the nick to have at that time. And especially with category A conditions, because it's very the security is very tight and they're on you. Not so much on you as in driving you mad, because it's all CCTV'd up in Belmarsh, and you can't really get away with too much without it being on camera. I have uploaded a video onto my channel before about an instance what happened in there with a bacon, and me and another friend who's since passed away, Tony Nix, from Bermondsey sides. God rest in peace, Tony. He was an absolute blinder. But yeah, we had a bit of an incident in there, and the police got called in, and we was on CCTV, and it was hard for me to talk my way out of it because I was in an E-man suit. But yeah, I did talk my way out of it, and I said that I only went into the cell to find the injured man on the floor in the pool of blood to help him out on association. Because the screws asked me, like, if it wasn't me what done it, or the other guy what done it, then how did I have blood on my clothes, and how did they see me going into a cell through CCTV? They had me banged to rights. But I said I went in there to help him out because I see him in the pool of blood. But I'm not going to implicate myself. I'm definitely not going to put further charges on myself, guys. But yeah, anyway, Charlie Kray was on the cleaners, and he actually got me a job. It was the other way around. He got me a job on the cleaners because of he liked me, and I used to go into his cell every day and have a cup of coffee and have a chat with him about the good old times. He used to ask me all my past, and he used to love hearing stories about Southwest London and about London and the tricks we used to get up to, because he was in his 70s now, and he just loved hearing stories. So I've got a lot of love for Charlie. Rest in peace, Charlie. But a funny story there is Frankie Fraser. There was a bit of riff back in the 60s. It was rivalry between the Frazer'S and the Kray'S. Those both sides. One was one side of the water and one was the other side. I think the Kray'S tried to get involved or get the Richardsons on their side from the scrapyard, and the Richardsons wouldn't have it. They wanted to be individual, and they wanted to just run their part of the water, which was southeast London. And the Kray'S wanted to venture out and take control of that, and so that rivalry still went on. So anyway, when I was in Belmarsh, one of Frankie Fraser's boys was in there, and Charlie Kray was in there. So the rivalry from the 60s was still about in 1999, because they wouldn't talk to each other. They was both on the cleaners, and it was really mad because one would be mopping one side of the landing, the other one would be mopping the other side of the landing. They're both in their late 60s, early 70s, and they just wouldn't look at each other, and you could feel the atmosphere. You could cut it through like a razor blade, the atmosphere, and I'm sure if a few years younger, it had gone off in a big way. But because they was older, a bit more chilled out, they let the riff they left the riff alone, you know, they didn't physically attack each other or anything like that. But Charlie certainly dropped him out and wouldn't talk to him. So that's a funny little story. But another story I've got is about Jeff, and he's got a nickname of Scissorhand. So it's Jeff Scissorhand. And I met him in Belmarsh on House Block 4-2. Jeff, I'll describe him to you. So Jeff was about 6'5", slim, grey hair. He looked a little bit like Doctor Who type of thing. Didn't look like a criminal in any shape or form, and wasn't a criminal. He never had one previous conviction. I got friendly with him. Me and my cousin George, we used to go into his cell and play cards with him on association and have cups of teas and coffee with him. We used to have a bit of banter and a bit of laugh with him. And after a short while, he was in for murder. Jeff was in for murder. So you know, when you get arrested and you get all your debts and your photographs from your solicitor, you can have all that. So basically, Jeff asked for his photographs of the crimes that he committed, and he had them in a folder. And when he showed me the photos in the folder, I was, you know, it would be hard to shock someone like me, but I'll tell you what, I dropped my mouth, and I couldn't believe, I didn't know whether to laugh, run out of the cell. You know, it was crazy. What Jeff done was, I'll tell you what he got the murder for to start off with, guys, yeah? So Jeff was in his 62, and as I say, he wasn't a criminal. He come from Portsmouth, and I think it was Lee Valley Park. He had a flat in there. He lived on his own. Basically, a guy on the estate sexually assaulted Jeff's niece. Jeff's niece, she was only 7 years of age, and the bacon, he was in his 60s, and Jeff found out what had happened because Jeff's niece had told him. So Jeff left it for a few weeks, and then went round to the bacon's flat, and knocked on the bacon's door. Like, he went round and tooled up. He went round to do the job on him properly. He didn't mess about. You know, it was a premeditated murder, and he got a life sentence for the murder of it. I hope he's out now, but I shouldn't think so. But yeah, so anyway, the paedophile wasn't in at the time, so somehow Jeff locked the front door with a credit card, and that's another story altogether. What I'll speak to you guys about at another time. But if there's any burglars or drummers on here, you should know that years and years ago we could do locks with credit cards. You just slide the card in the crack of the door, and it just cracks the lock open. So Jeff got inside the house, and he waited for the guy to come home from the pub. It was early in the evening, around 9 o'clock. So it was going to be a total surprise to the guy when he come home and see Jeff in his flat. Well, Jeff hid behind the front door, and when the guy put his key in the front door, Jeff just gripped him around the neck like that, dragged him into the front room, you know, give him a right hiding, and then he tied him to an armchair, so an old-fashioned armchair. He tied him, his arms behind his back like that. He tied his feet, and you know, he zipper tied him up properly. So he was tied up to a chair. So Jeff wanted to torture him. I know it sounds a little bit gritty and a little bit gory, but Jeff wanted to torture him for him molesting his niece, which I'm not condoning, and I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, but I'm not going to agree it was the right thing to do. But this is what Jeff done. So Jeff tied him to an armchair, and he went to the cutlery, knife and fork drawer and pulled out a fork, and he was stabbing him like that all around his body for a couple of days. He gagged him, blindfolded him, and he was just stabbing him. This went on for 2 days, and he didn't want to kill him at that point. The reason why he didn't want to kill him is because he wanted to actually torture him, and that's what he did. He tortured him, and when the police come eventually and found out, I think the guy had over 500 stab wounds in him. So yeah, he was stabbing him up with a fork, and then what he done on the 3rd day, when he had enough and he wanted to just do away with him, what he done, and this is the dead honest truth because I see the stills and I see the photos of it. So Jeff pulled his eyelids like that. He got a razor, he cut his eyelids off, So now he was crying blood. It was all blood cutting. His eyelids had been cut off. And this is a little bit graphic, guys. So you know, I'm going to warn you that it's not nice what you're going to hear, but this is what what I know and what I see, and what Jeff told me. So yeah, he cut his eyelids off, and he was crying blood. And then Jeff went to the kitchen and pulled out a bread knife, and Jeff cut the guy's penis off, completely off from the stem, completely. And what Jeff done then was something what, Jeff put the guy's penis in his own mouth. So the guy was tied to an armchair, and he had all his eyes were pissing the blood. Say that's his cock, the guy's cock. His cock like that. And he was down like that, so he had his cock hanging out of his mouth and his eyelids were crying. Jeff continued to stab him. On the third day, the guy died, and Jeff walked in to the police station and admitted what he's just done and confessed to the murder. So that's when he got arrested for the murder, put on remand, and got a life sentence. He got he got a life sentence with a 22-year recommendation. So he won't be out at the minute. No. I hope he does get out though. But yeah, when Jeff showed me these photos, I was in a state of shock because the graphics were so gory. The guy, he's an old guy, he was tied to an armchair, as I said. He had his dick hanging out of his mouth, he was bleeding, and it was, really, really gory pictures. But that's just one story, guys. So anyway, done what we had to do, and he showed me the pictures, and we had a little had a discussion about it, and he didn't regret it. He didn't have no remorse for it, and he was glad that he was doing a life sentence. Well, he wasn't glad he was doing a life sentence, but he was proud to be doing a life sentence for what the guy had done to his niece. And that's how dangerous things was them days. That's what happened. But anyway, after that, I used to have a laugh with him because, like I said, I was a bit of a clown on the wing, and I used to run across the nets and call the screws all the names under the sun, and I didn't care about getting nicked and going down in front of the governor. But what I've done is I nicknamed Jeff Scissorhand, because remember Scissorhand? So that's what, he cut the guy's penis off, he cut the guy's eyelids off, so I used to name him Scissorhand. So what I used to do for a laugh on association, I used to knock on Jeff's door, because he used to pull his door ajar. I used to knock on his door, and when he used to come to the door, I used to shout out, "Come on, Scissorhand, can you catch me?" And he used to chase me all around the nets. And that nickname stayed with him, Jeff Scissorhand. So I'm going to leave this one here, guys. But that's just one Cat A story. I'm going to be uploading a lot more coming through the next few days. Please don't forget to share, subscribe to keep my channel alive. Be lucky, take care, and have a Merry Christmas.